Hi, it's Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're going to take a look at an absolutely stunning monitor, which I strongly suggest you stop what you're doing and just look in the links in the video description and see if you can pick up one of these, because they're currently on offer. At the moment, in the UK, you can pick up this absolutely stunning 27-inch, 180Hz IPS Quantum Dot monitor for under £200. Currently retailing for about £199 from various locations, including Amazon and various others, but I'll link those in the video description. So even before you see the rest of this, if you're looking for a monitor, 27 inches for gaming with HDR400, with 1440p resolution, with RGB, with all the tilt and swivel, with KVM, with USB pass-through, with 65 watt QD charging for USB-C devices, just stop right now, click on the links and pick one up. Honestly, this is the deal of the century, or at least it appears to be. Previously, this monitor was available for somewhere in the region of about £350 when it first came out. This model number is the MSI MAG 274QRF QD E2. Now, the E2 on the end is the important bit, because this monitor was actually available about 4 years ago, but it didn't have the same technology in it. Back then, it was just a lowly IPS panel with 165Hz refresh, whereas now it's slam bang into 2024, going into 2025. We've now got a Quantum Dot screen. We've also got HDR400 compatibility, and like I said, we've got all these other cool features, which we'll go through as we go through this review. Now, I should first of all say I have got this monitor on loan from MSI UK. They've kindly lent it to me, although I really wish I could keep it. For £200, this is awesome. I am seriously considering buying one, even though I've got a monitor with very similar specifications already on my desk. The HDR400 on this, and also the fact that this supports MSI Mystic lighting for RGB lighting, is some of the key things which I really wanted from a monitor previously. But also, it has excellent response times, really nice colours, and it does appear to have even inkier blacks than previously thought. So yeah, I'm very impressed with this monitor overall. But anyway, I do have to send it back, so unfortunately it will be going back to MSI. So yeah, they haven't asked me to say anything, they haven't paid me to do this review, they've just sent the monitor and said, Mike, would you like to do a review? Excellent, very happy to do so, less happy to send it back. Now you can probably see just in the bottom of the screen here, I've got my cheat sheet here, so some of the specifications, so I'll try and reel them off as best I can. I may have to refer to them because there's actually a lot to cover on this. It does cover so many bases, and again, if you want to, in the links in the video description, I'll put a link to MSI's site as well, so you can go directly there and check out the various specifications. And also, you can check out the software, because there is actually a software download for this. So there is like a kind of add-on to MSI Center where you can do all of the monitor controls actually in your Windows operating system, which I think is very cool indeed. So you can turn on features, turn off features, you can do presets, switch your KVM, change your display modes, everything that the monitor can do from the joystick on the back, you can do in software as well. So if your monitor is somewhere you can't get to it quite as easily, or you just don't want to fumble around the back of your monitor, then I think the software option is absolutely excellent. Again, links for that will be in the video description. So first of all, let's talk about the unboxing experience. Very pleasantly surprised. Everything is in there, including the UK power plug, which is always a bonus when you're getting stuff from various places. You don't always get a UK power plug, but with this you do, and a charging brick, which is awesome. So you have got a separate power supply, so if for some reason the power supply might fail, then it's going to be relatively easy to obtain a replacement, rather than if it's an inbuilt one, you've got to take the thing apart, and yeah, not great. So nice to have an external power supply. You also got the stand, which is a two-piece stand, so very nice, actually really sturdy construction. So if you're concerned about your monitor being a bit wobbly, it's actually pretty decent. There's a little bit of wobble to it, but that's mostly down to this cheap IKEA desk. But yeah, the monitor itself is pretty stable. The base itself has swivel on it as well, so if you want to angle it slightly, you can do. Also, the monitor supports various different options, so you can have it in landscape or portrait mode, so it has rotation. Also has tilt as well. You're probably seeing some of this from B-roll I filmed a little bit earlier. So you can tilt it and you can rotate it in various directions, so you can get it basically however you want it to. I didn't notice actually on it that it kind of locks into any position. I like it when one of the stands like these, they've got a kind of lock, so when you get to the perfect kind of vertical or horizontal, it kind of locks in at those 90-degree or 180-degree angles. I guess depending on where you're mounting it, you might not have it on a flat desk, so it alleviates that, but I think it would have been nice just to have that little indentation so you know that it's perfectly level, but really you can do it by eye. Also included, there is a USB cable. So this is to connect the monitor to USB on your computer. So that is what the software uses to communicate. So that is included also. There is also a DisplayPort cable. So this is DisplayPort 1.4. No HDMI cable included in this one, unfortunately, although it may have previously. This is a loaner unit, so the previous reviewer might have stolen it, I don't know, but I don't think you do get an HDMI cable, just the DisplayPort. And assembling it is very simple. There is one of those kind of thumb screws on the bottom of the base there, so you just twist that in. A couple of screws in the back. There is a VESA mount as well, so if you do want to use a separate stand or you want to use some sort of wall mount bracket, whatever, you can do. It does have full VESA support. Also, whilst taking out the box, I did notice on the back there were some LEDs, which, if you know me, and well, you can see what's going on here, I like LEDs. And this does support MSI Mystic Sync, so if you open up MSI Center, you can go in and if you've got it connected to your computer, it will appear there. So you can synchronize all of your lovely MSI goodies, like I've got here. So yeah, keyboard, mouse, screen, motherboard, fans, all sorts. It's all synchronized together. So that's really nice if you do appreciate RGB. Obviously, the RGB is on the back of the monitor, so realistically, kind of you're not going to see it, but yeah, it's kind of nice to have it, I think, personally. So let's take a look at the actual connectivity. So we've touched on it very briefly, so let's take a look at the ports on the back. So you've got two HDMI ports, so that is HDMI 2.0B, so that's going to be great for your PCs or consoles, those types of things if you want to, or maybe a Mac Mini, I don't know, anything you want to connect up on HDMI, that's absolutely fine. You will find that restrictive though in terms of your frequency. Only when you plug in using the DisplayPort, which is DisplayPort 1.4A, do you get the full 180 Hz that this panel is capable of. Obviously, you can run your games faster than that if you want to, but it just, yeah, it won't sync. And talking of which, the adaptive sync works between about 48 Hz and 180 Hz. Anything under or over that won't be supported by the AMD FreeSync. Next up, moving along, there is a USB Type-C connection. So this is going to be coming in handy for charging devices. So say, for instance, you want to connect up maybe a laptop and have it charging, and also use this as a secondary monitor for your laptop, because laptop screens are generally quite small and generally quite poor. So plugging it into that, you can do that, charge your laptop if your laptop supports it. And like I said, this does support up to 65 watts power delivery. Alternatively, you can use this in KVM mode, and if you look next to the USB Type-C, there's also two more USB 2.0 ports, so you can plug in keyboard and a mouse, or combinations thereof, a receiver, dongles, those types of things, whatever you choose to do. And then you can use this in KVM mode to switch between a couple of devices. And also on the other side, you have got your power input jack over on the far left, and also next to that there is a 3.5mm headphone socket. Now you're probably thinking, well, why is there a headphone socket? Well, I'll give you a very good reason, because this ain't got no speakers. No speakers at all. So if you don't have speakers, gonna need some, or some headphones. This produces no audio. Also on the back, like I said, there is the little joystick button, so nipple button, as whatever you want to call it. So you can press that, you can get up the on-screen display and make any changes. You can also do quick settings, and also you can configure that as well in the software. So you can choose if you just press the button in a certain direction, a certain mode comes up, or it switches source, or the KVM switches, all those kinds of things. You can choose to do pretty much whatever you want in the software. Something else which is a quite nice little feature, personally, I like it, the fact the power button is actually on the bottom and is very dimly illuminated, but you can just about see it's there. Hopefully I'll get you some B-roll shots of that so you can see it. So press the button, turn it off, press the button, turn it back on again, and the LED as well isn't intrusive. Some monitors have like a power LED on the front, which, again, depending on what you're doing, if you want that full immersive experience, the last thing you want is a bright white or bright blue LED blasting your eyeballs. Right, next we're going to take a look at some gameplay, because obviously you want to see what this looks like, and take it from me, it's fantastic. The camera honestly doesn't do it justice at all. I really wish I was better with camera technology so I could actually film this so you could see what I'm actually seeing, because this thing is absolutely cracking. But anyway, I'll give you some gameplay footage, and whilst doing so, I'll rattle off some of the specs. So starting off, obviously panel size 27 inches, as we've already covered. The curvature of this is completely flat, so no curved display on this one. It's a Rapid IPS panel with a resolution of 2560 by 1440, or WQHD as it's otherwise known, or 1440p. The pixel pitch is 0.2331 for those wondering, and obviously it's a 16:9 aspect ratio. The brightness in nits is 400, so that's going to give you your HDR400 certification. Contrast ratio is 1000:1. But if you use DCR, then that goes up to like 10 million to 1 or something crazy. Refresh rate is 180 Hz, as we've already mentioned, with a response time of 1 millisecond. So that's going from grey to grey. And in actual fact, I have got some tests that I did a little bit earlier using the open source response time testing tool. And that doesn't measure grey to grey, so this is changing RGB values. So I'll put that on the screen for you now so you can see what that looks like, and it's basically done very, very well. Lots of green, which is what you want to see in these results. So green is a pass, and anything which is getting amber is kind of like not quite so great, and red is obviously bad. But here we can see, I think the lowest response time was around about 3.5 milliseconds, which is absolutely fine. It doesn't quite get to the 1 millisecond grey to grey because of the way we test, but certainly in terms of a 180 Hz panel, which realistically 180 Hz you're looking at, I think it's around about 5.6, 5.7 milliseconds should be the kind of response time on it. So yeah, you're well within that, so all gravy. Now also we should take a specific look at some gameplay. Now this is recorded, because it's YouTube, it's 4K 30 frames per second, so it doesn't really do this justice, and it looks nowhere near as buttery smooth as it does for me playing it. And actually, I was playing Rocket League, which is something which I play quite frequently, and if you're into esports, maybe you do as well, let me know in the comments. But this was actually a really good experience. It was so buttery smooth, it just felt amazing. And actually, I joined a game where I think we were somewhere like 4-0 down or 4-1 down. I joined, and I'm not very good at games, I'll be honest with you, and I'm getting older, so the response times go a little bit, but actually found myself really enjoying this. Very, very smooth gameplay, and actually I came on, scored a few goals, and we actually ended up winning 6-5 in the end, so I wasn't expecting that. You do find when you've got a really good monitor, where you've got really good clarity, the response time is great, everything just feels kind of right. Now, most of you probably know this. If you've used a PC before, you play games on some systems, it doesn't feel right. There's a little bit of lag, a little bit of latency, and it just doesn't quite gel. But with this, you do get that genuine feeling of kind of being at one with your device, be it your PC, your console, or whatever. Obviously, consoles I haven't tried, but PC-wise, it just feels really, really slick, and yeah, just a really nice, cohesive feeling overall. And the fact that it looks great and it's got HDR400, so everything just pops out the screen, is absolutely brilliant. So that's enough of Rocket League. When it comes to Counter-Strike, or Counter-Strike 2 as it's known, I didn't do quite so well. So I was trying to kind of look at what was going on the screen, do other things as well, and my keyboard and mouse was kind of over there, so I had to turn the screen around. Anyway, no excuses for my rubbish gameplay, but the actual fidelity of the screen was excellent. And also, this does support other kind of enhancements built in. So you've got things like the crosshair support, so you can add that as kind of like a little bit of cheat. So if you're using scoped weapons, you've always got a crosshair, which is quite handy. And also you've got the option for highlighting black zones as well. So if you're in a particularly dark environment, you can boost the contrast and boost the kind of the highlights, so you can basically see in the dark, which is again kind of cheating. I'm thinking a lot of people don't really turn it on. Maybe do. If you're a professional gamer, let me know. Do you do those types of things on your screen just to give you that extra competitive edge? Of course, if you do and you want to do that, this has those controls baked right in. And then let's take a look at some Wreckfest. So Wreckfest, as most of you know, is one of those great games. It looks pretty much awesome on most displays anyway, but even more so on this. Things like the highlights of the sun coming up in certain aspects of the game, depending where you are on the map. Yeah, it just really does look great. Again, I'm apologising in advance. The camera doesn't quite do it justice, but to me, to my eyes, it just looked really, really nice, almost like cinematic, which I guess is what you want to experience from your gameplay. And with the fact of it being buttery smooth as well is really helpful. And that is especially true when it comes to racing games, because as most of you know, if you play any kind of racing games, that kind of disconnect, if your input isn't matched up with what you see on the screen and vice versa, it kind of doesn't feel right. You lose that kind of that slickness. You know what it's like when you're driving and you're playing on a really nice system, it just feels good. Everything you do, little twitches, little maneuvers just really help you get to where you want to go. And again, the same deal applies with this that happened in Rocket League. Did really well, a couple little knocks as well, which normally if I do, I normally don't end up winning, but actually went through to the very end and actually won the race. So yeah, very pleased. And I'm not saying that buying this monitor is going to dramatically improve your gameplay. All I'm saying is it did seem to improve mine. So take that as you will. So to wrap up this video, for £200, I think this is absolutely spectacular. It's a fantastic monitor. It looks great. You've got excellent color coverage. I haven't even touched on that really in terms of the specifications. So you have got up to 94% of the Adobe RGB color space, 98% of the DCI-P3 color space, and 150% of the sRGB color spaces. So that is actually really good. Again, HDR400 support, and it actually does seem to be justifiable. Sometimes HDR100 or the kind of entry-level HDR isn't great, but the HDR on this 400, to me personally, I think it looks absolutely fantastic, and hopefully it will do for you as well. So there you go, there is my somewhat gushing review of what I feel is an excellent price monitor. Hopefully you feel the same. Again, if you do, check out the links in the video description, or alternatively, suggest another monitor which you'd like me to look at, similar sort of spec, similar sort of pricing. I would be very interested because I don't think one exists. Anyway, I think it's going to wrap this one up. Thanks again to MSI UK for sending this over to us on loan for review. I think it's going to wrap this one up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.